made a few mistakes in the beginning, and a few in the end, but overall we played really well.
We try to take any advantage that we can get, so we were fortunate to get some good goals.
I feel we played good game. It was a little bit tough to play overall good, but in the end we had a little bit lucky.
We have to go out, break half decent at least, and not make simple mistakes like we did on the end of the match yesterday. It's just simple mistakes are really going to kill you in a short format.
Too much here depend on the break and the luck in the first shot, which is not depend on us. Yesterday, USA played very aggressive against Croatia, but Croatian guys was just too nervous.
Yeah, I played Russia before, and I know the two players that I played, and I played them before. They're great players, but I believe that we have the edge, and we're going to take every shot as we can.
Ladies and gentlemen, for your next match here in the second round, let's welcome our first team. Here is Team Russia! Opponents, please welcome Team USA!
For a place in the quarterfinals, USA versus Russia, round 2 action here in Portsmouth. Phil, too many superbolies for this one, aren't there?
Well, I think it's entirely appropriate that this is our final match of the evening. In many respects, internationally certainly, this is top of the bill. 2 players from Moscow, one from New York City, one from Rapid City, South Dakota.
USA win the lag.
USA win the lag.
A race to 7 racks.
South Dakota
First rack,
kid.
USA to break.
One of the most powerful breaks in the game to set them alight.
Get in the hole! Get in the hole!
Right. That's your first and last warning.
Well, right away,
Right.
Michaela Tabb makes sure that the crowd isn't going to be a factor in this match. Leave it to the players.
down now,
That was a
please.
great break from Van Boening. And everything there for USA right now to get off the mark.
Well, the right lady is in charge if it's going to get rambunctious.
Extension.
He's got the perfect angle here, but he knows he's got to leave a good angle on the 4 to get back down table for the 5. And he's got to get below the 9 and the 7, depending on what side of the table he wants to come down on.
Quite a pairing this. A man of many words, partnering a man of few words. Both want to let their pool do the talking.
One of the best shot makers that the sport has ever seen in Earl Strickland. And one of the present and future stars of the game in Shane Van Boening. Past and present of American pool right on your screens.
Well, if Van Boning's record overseas was as powerful as it was at home, he would be the sport's dominant figure.
Just slightly overhit from Earl, but you'd expect Shane to get this. And get it, he does. 1-0, a break and run out, courtesy of Team USA.
Up in the practice room, it was noticeable. It was all business. Van Boening was saying little, just potting balls, getting ready, getting mentally acclimatized to the situation. Strickland was muttering away to anyone who would listen, but cueing well.
Well, I think it's a perfect partnership for a number of reasons, but first and foremost, they both play a very similar style of game.
USA to break.
They're aggressive.
By 1 rack, Tina.
They fire from the hip and terrific under pressure. Well, this is going to be an illegal break.
Illegal
Only
break,
2 balls
control
past the
passes.
head string, so control passes. It was dry anyway, but a shot at the 1 for Team Russia. And you want silky smooth cue action, just watch these two at the table. Poetry in motion.
There's Strickland, been there, done that, seen almost everything in pool. I say almost because you've never seen it all.
I'm not sure he pulled that back far enough. Maybe just.
Quietly, please.
Cue ball off the side cushion and back to the right-hand side. The intensity in Strickland's eyes, that won't change.
The man is an enigma wrapped up in a conundrum. He's rather like Alex Higgins, you know, the late Alex Higgins. You never knew what was going to happen. That was part of his attraction, the unpredictability.
But he is a sportsman, and many times I've seen Strickland lead the applause when his opponent's been at the table and done anything noteworthy. He appreciates talent. Konstantin just taking a little extra time. He wants to be certain here. They saw the last match that was on this table, the Philippines and France, and there were a few just careless mistakes. If nothing else, they want to try and make sure that doesn't creep into their games. One. Russia squares it up. Dry break from Earl Strickland, allowing them back to the table. USA very clear sailing through to this second round, a 7-2 win. Russia had to squeak one out against Japan, the 12th seeds, 7-6, a real character builder.
And I think it's fair to say in that opening match, Chinakhov was the pick of the two. You know, he's a seasoned campaigner. He seems to have been around forever, Chinakhov. He's 22 years of age. Strickland, well, 22 years ago, he was right at the top of the game. He seems to have been around forever.
Well, now it's a dry break from Russia, opening the door for Team USA. And even if Shane can't have a clear path to this one, he'll jump over the edge of the 7. He's going back for his jump cue now, just over the edge of the 7. And he should get this and should get position to the 2. Yeah, he doesn't have to jack up that high, just over the edge of the 7. Look out! Just overhit it slightly.
Fallen.
Just a little too much mustard on that shot.
Interesting that Strickland remained impassive.
Yeah, and the key ball here, and I don't think it poses any problem, is the 4. Looks like it's dead set, a combination with the 6 to the bottom left corner. We're going to know here real soon the way that Konstantin Stepanov plays this 3, because he does have the angle to try and dislodge it if he needs to. No, it must be set. Dead set. Looked like Earl was halfway out of his chair there.
He should have known the guys from the land of Red Square were going to pot the red sphere. Can't see them failing here, Jim. Can't see it at all.
As you already know, both teams spend a lot of time on the practice table just warming up and getting acclimatized. And this 9 is going to take Russia to a 2-1 advantage. Two racks in a row. A great response from Team Russia, keeping the Americans in their chairs. That's the order of the day. The race to 7 will be heating up, and we'll be back to show it all to you right after the break. Or two. There's just too much sporting history between these two great nations. And of course, being Canadian, how could I possibly leave out anything played on ice? Back in 1980, the Miracle on Ice. Who could forget that?
The 1972 basketball final at the Munich Olympics. Well, that's still disputed, a decision right in the last second. Russia won the gold, and still to this day, the members of the American team refuse to accept their silver medal. It was right on the buzzer. So controversial. It was a sporting event. It was almost a diplomatic incident.
Well, such is the rivalry that's been created over decades. No matter what the playing surface is. Bank shot here. Flies in. The 3 is there. The problem ball is the brown 7. But look at this bank. Flew into the side. Welcomed by the 1. Well, Phil, everything's in the open here, but very soon they're going to start thinking about that 7 ball. And I'll wager that Konstantin is going to leave his partner an angle on this 5 to try and open it up. Or if he could get over the other side, he could play a 5, 8, 7 3-ball combination. And that's exactly what he's trying to do. 5, 8, 7. The only problem with this, position to the 5, not guaranteed. Well, unless it lines up to the 8.
The combo. We were just talking about those sporting battles when the USA beat Russia in the ice hockey final at Lake Placid in 1980. It has to be regarded as one of the greatest sporting upsets in any arena, anywhere, anytime. Now, this wouldn't be quite to that level, but it would be against the form book.
They look very, very good. Confident, composed, in complete control of their emotion. And everything is finding the center of the pocket. 3-1 they lead. If you're a USA fan, this is not the sort of start you were looking for.
Well, Strickland, at the very least, is keeping his discipline. His behaviour so far in the match has been exemplary. 3-1 down in a race to 7. Not exactly a crisis just yet, but if Russia were to win the next rack, I think it might be bordering on that.
Well, we saw England B come back from 5-2 against India. That's the biggest deficit we've seen overhauled to this stage in the event.
Rack 5, Russia to break.
And given
leading
the
by 3
format,
racks
the
to
winner
1.
breaks. You would think you can string some racks together, but the table has not been very sympathetic. Rack number 5. And that's a legal break. And position on the 1. And it's not going to be that difficult to get to the 2.
Can you be quiet, please?
Michaela Tab admonishing a couple of members of the audience for noise. That's the last thing you want. Good order from the vast majority of the crowd. And that means if a couple of people start chirping around, they can be really disruptive.
Yeah, just watching Stepanov. Phil, he wants Ruslan to just leave the cue ball on the left-hand side. Oh, he's, you know what's happened is he's given himself the 1. Didn't really give it its due attention. Worried so much about where he wanted to go with the cue ball, he forgot the 1. Well, mark that one down. Those are the type of mistakes that matches can turn on. That's confidence. He played that between a very narrow window. Now position from 2 to 4, much easier.
Classy shot helped by the fact he played it a little thick into the pocket, which made the position and finding that gap a little easier for him.
Shane slightly overhit that. And you heard Earl's cue hit the floor. That cue, by the way, is almost as tall as he is. I remember looking at it one time, and if I'm not mistaken, it's about 64 inches in length. That's 3 inches longer than standard cues over here.
Thank you.
Timeout.
Extension.
Yeah, Earl is not happy with where Shane left him here.
This is non-verbal communication.
Yeah, if he'd have been able to leave him straighter on this, position would have been straightforward. Now he's got to try and move with the cue ball and trust to luck a little bit. And well, as he left Shane a thin cut on this 5. And can he make it and get down table for the 6?
Don't know whether it was wise for Strickland to show his displeasure there. When you're watching the Ryder Cup tomorrow, one of the golden rules of playing foursomes in particular is never to say sorry to your partner after a bad shot. Don't make them feel uncomfortable.
A fortuitous kiss on the 8 there. Helping that cue ball to land nicely onto the 6. Anxiously, Earl watching that cue ball roll down to the 7. He wants this off the side cushion.
That wasn't dissimilar to the kind of pot that Lee Van Cortese missed in the penultimate rack of the Philippines-France match. No mistake though from Strickland, no mistake from Van Boening either. The gap closes to a single rack, Jim.
And it'll be Shane's turn to break. And he is definitely the better breaker of the two. He's won the last 2 U.S. Opens on the trot, has Van Boening. Earl Strickland, a 5-time U.S. Open champion. Unprecedented in the modern era.
Yes, Van Boening will defend the title next month. And that is such a tough tournament to win on one occasion, let alone on multiple occasions.
In my opinion, the toughest tournament in the world to win, simply because it's open. You pay your entry, and you take your chances. Come one, come all.
Nothing's down now.
Well, certainly not an illegal break. Plenty of balls over the headstring. Far more than the requisite, but
Thank you.
while it's perfectly legal, it's not effective.
Some discussion. You can see the one, it may just be poking its nose out, but I don't know whether they can make it. I think if they'd have been able to make it, they'd probably be down aiming at it now. And the 3 is tied up with the 6. 8 is tied up, bottom of the table. Or is that the 6? No, the 8. The 8 with the 9, the bottom of the table as we look. So this is not going to be a straightforward finish, regardless.
Extension.
Well, Konstantin is looking at kicking at this. This is risky. Well, very risky. And he's just loosened one of the awkward balls in the 3. And you could almost read his lips there. I don't know what Russian is for wow. That couldn't have worked out any worse.
Well, we've seen some gifts today, never more so than in the Switzerland-Belgium match when Belgium made a whole string of unforced errors. What a bonus that is for the Americans.
Just half a pocket here, but obviously enough. So the problem ball now is the 8. Shane's having a look to see if a possible billiard might be available from the 8 and targeting the 9. It looks close. Well, Earl's wondering why he even came so close to that 7.
Is the Strickland discipline slipping a little? Rein yourself in, Earl. Rein yourself in.
Extension.
He's calling New York home now, playing at a venue called Steinway Billiards. He's the house pro, gives lessons there. And there's been a little bit of a resurgence in Earl's career as of late, ever since he moved to New York.
That's also the case for Scotland's Jason Shaw, who last weekend won a big event at the Turning Stone Casino in New York State.
Very big event. And another open event that a lot of top players play in. Well, I say open, you had to qualify for it. You had to have enough points to get in. So I guess it wasn't nearly as open as what the US Open is. Well, now, looking at the 7. So we're going to find out if there's a billiard available, because he can drop below this 8. And that's exactly what he's elected to do, but gee, he could have played it better than this. I wouldn't be surprised to see Shane just lock Russia up behind the 9 here. This is very risky to try and attack here. The safety would be very easy. Well, he's going for it, top left. A very brave man. And a very talented one. That sends a message.
The pot was good. The judging of the kiss on the 9 was even better.
3-3 at the Mountbatten Center here in Portsmouth. The World Cup of Pool, Team USA and Russia firing on all cylinders. Russia enjoyed a 3-1 lead at one point. Mistakes like this, unforced errors, have opened the door for Team USA, and shots like that have allowed them to slam it on Russian hopes. Terrific pot from Van Boening, punctuated by the 9. And 3-3, the score here at the Mountbatten Center.
It's been quite a day. Germany, I think, were the most impressive of the sides who've got through with that 7-1 win over Malaysia in the contest that got us underway.
Earl Strickland with the break. USA won the first rack. That was the only time they've led in the match.
Illegal break, control passes.
Earl can't believe it. I don't know if he can hit him any harder. One ball down and only one ball crossing the head string. Watch it again. The one ball crossing the head string and the two ball finding the corner pocket. That was it. If you're just joining us, 3 balls have to pass the head string. Every ball pocketed counts as a ball having passed the head string. And we've seen as many illegal breaks as legal.
And you mentioned before, Jim, that England B came back from 5-2 down against India to win 7-6. At 5-2, the Indians made an illegal break and it turned the whole thing around. They can be so influential. They can strip a team of momentum and present momentum to the other side.
Just a tap on the table from his partner. That was beautifully controlled. Had to clear the 8 to leave the 5 on.
Merely being involved in this World Cup of Pool is motivation in itself. The premier team event on the calendar in this sport. But you just sense with the Russians, they've got an extra dimension when it comes to incentive because of who their opponents are.
Yeah, anytime you can beat legendary players like Earl Strickland and Shane Van Boening, you get up for it. One in the Hall of Fame, the other guaranteed to be in the Hall of Fame once he turns 40. And the Russian pair, yeah, just checking whose break it is, and I think it's going to be Ruslan's break. The taller of the two.
It's amazing. As we've said, he's only 22 years of age, and yet he's been exposed at top level for so many years now.
Yeah, both he and Stepanov.
Racket, Russia to break.
No
Leading by
strangers
4
to
racks
international pool. And they've been Russia's top 2 players, along with Evgeny Stalav of the bygone years. And 4-3 back in front. It's a good break, but I didn't hear anything drop. Well, when I say good break, a legal one. Good break would have probably wanted to see something find gravity.
Individually, he wins so many titles. But his rate of production outside of the States is nowhere near what he does when he's at home, playing on home base.
Always been a mystery, that to me too. So much talent, and everybody knows who he is, and he's fearless. He takes on all comers anywhere on the planet. And in his hometown of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, Phil, he's a star. They all know who he is. His grandmother was a league champion. Just looking to try and hide here. Get that cue ball behind cover.
Do you remember, Jim, earlier on when I was saying about the great USA-Russia sporting rivalries, and I was mentioning Rocky IV, Ivan Drago against Rocky Balboa? Well, I just noticed that Shane Van Boening was actually born in Jackson, Wyoming, and that's where they filmed all of the training scenes in Rocky IV when Sylvester Stallone ran up the Grand Tetons Is there a link?
Extension.
By the way, Rocky IV was fictional, but in my world, it's real.
Tough shot here. Just the edge of the one poking out. Straight in on the one. 2 goes by the 7 top left. 3 in the middle of the table. The only problem ball is the green 6. It offers a combination to the 7, and it's far enough from the cushion where you could drop behind it. It's all going to depend on the angle that Shane leaves Earl on the 5. And that's plenty. So Earl can drop anywhere on this 6. Below it. He's kind of leaning to get it over there. Just a smattering of applause, but he'd like that cue ball to have traveled about another 6 inches.
One of those geniuses, though, doesn't have to think about shots. It's all instinctive. He knows what to do. Rather like Ronnie O'Sullivan, who just gets down and plays the shot as though it's second nature.
Yeah, but again, when you've got somebody like that, Phil, not the easiest person to partner. And Earl answers to such high standards. He expects the same from Shane. Not very often he's disappointed.
One, 3-3, now 4-4. The superpowers are tied again.
And the break, the enigma that it presents, may well define the outcome of this match.
So far, we've had 4 matches go the distance, 4 7-6 results. No one in this arena would be surprised if this wasn't the 5th.
Rack 9, USA to break. 4 racks each.
He'll pop these. I certainly don't expect an illegal break here. As a matter of fact, 3 balls are down and 2 past the head string. He's rather unlucky not to have left a better shot on the 2. That's not.
Thank you.
Well, that's not Earl's best effort, and he almost had to go into his case for his second cue.
Everything was under the lid, and all of a sudden he starts chuntering away to the crowd. We've seen this so many times in the ultimate cauldron of pressure that is the Moscone Cup. It is self-destructive. We know that, Jim.
Extension.
That was a thick contact. It dropped. In snooker, they call it a kick. In pool, a skid. But that was a bad contact for sure. The sound that it made, pretty tough to tell with that replay, but it was a very heavy sound. Even Earl noticed it.
It looks as though the underdogs are going to regain the lead, Jim.
And this 9 will provide that. Five-4. Just 2 rack wins away from a place in the quarterfinals and a huge win over USA. Russia in the lead. We'll be back with more action after a short break. You know, at the outset of the program, we talked about the previous matches. Pardon me. The previous matches leading up to this last 16 clash. And you just wonder if that 7-6 tightener over Japan just didn't put Russia in a little better stead for this match against America.
In terms of breaking off, both teams have had cause for frustration.
Oh, much too thick. Can't see enough to make it, but it looks like you can see enough to put them in jail and just park that cue ball right behind that 4. Bank the 2 up table and just kill the cue ball right there.
Extension.
Well, Shane must not have thought that he could just kill the cue ball and hold it there. And he's left a pretty simple kick, really. The top cushion. And if that 2 isn't touching that bottom cushion or right-hand cushion as we look, then Stepanov doesn't really have to play this at any speed. Just containment.
Frozen ball.
Earl knows that could have played that shot a little better. And Michaela has nominated a frozen ball, meaning that 2 ball is touching the cushion. And a ball has to contact a cushion after contact, cue ball and object ball. So something apart from that cushion you see there. That basically doesn't count, the cushion the 2 is hitting now. So cue ball or 2 ball have to hit a cushion. Well, the 1 just hit a cushion, 2 hit another one. So perfectly legal, but I guarantee you, not perfectly happy.
One of the most loose shots that the Russians have played. And it could be, should be, one of the most expensive.
Yeah, it just seems like neither team really wants to seize the initiative here. Only a bank shot on offer here for the Pearl. But if he gets it, it should be a rack winner. And I think it's worth the risk. Though he might not. Yeah, the only reason I didn't like that, Phil, is because of the jump shot. So many of these players nowadays are so adept with the jump cue. I mean, that was an easy safety, but unless you can get that cue ball up tight.
And Stepanov, before they came into the arena, up in the practice room, was practicing the shot over and over again.
Oh, he tried to will that cue ball past the 9, but either way, he did okay. Very close to making that, and he would have had position on the 5. I think Shane's got to cross bank this over to the top right and play it at a speed that leaves it in the top cushion if he misses it. Just like that. And that is played to perfection. And you see him leaning. He knows how important it is to get that cue ball up tight. Take that jump shot away.
Extension.
Tough kick shot here. They're having a good look just by the side pocket. But getting it safe, another story.
No reason for any Russian complaints there.
Reset clock, please.
No good. Earl needed to get that cue ball behind the 6 and the 9. And a wide open shot welcoming Russia right now. Doesn't look like he's got enough angle to stun over towards the middle of the table, leave the 6 to the same pocket, so he may have to follow this through and play the 6 to the side. Now, what about a 6-9? I wonder how close that is. No, 6-9 must be set, or very close to it.
You've got to fancy this going in.
Gosh, I got to tell you, Phil, If they don't make the 6-9 combination here, they should be kicking themselves, because this was a pretty easy clearance. Rolling through there and dropping onto the 6 to the side pocket was easy. This was not an easy combination.
It wasn't. At this level, you think they would have worked it out and knocked it in, but you were right, Jim. It was a risk to go for the throat like that when the clearance was there.
Look at this little combination. 6-9, pulling the cue ball back to the bottom cushion for the safety as well. And, well, to nobody's surprise, as we see it again, a great effort from Van Boening. We're all tied up.
In terms of imagination, no doubt the shot of the match for me.
And you know something? The timing of it is significant, because it just burns all those negative seeds into the brains of the Russian pair from the lax effort on the preceding shot.
So easily Russia could have been 2 racks ahead with a possible 3 to play. Now it's best of 3. Anyone's.
Black 11, USA to break, 5 racks each.
If Earl could have one wish, he'd like to see his best break of the week right now. It's legal. That's where the happy stories end.
I think this is a general point, Jim, as the day has progressed, and don't ask me why, but it seems as though the break is becoming less and less effective, not just for the Americans there, but for all of the teams involved this evening. You had more fluent pool this afternoon.
Yeah, I think the lack of success on the break really has been the culprit, Phil. It just hasn't allowed either team to really string anything together. And you just don't know what to put it down to. Other teams have come in here and broken with huge amounts of success, so they just got to try and weather the storm.
Shane Van Boening at the table, so Strickland needs someone to have a conversation with, and picking someone in the audience. Reminds me of the story when Tony Jacklin played Lee Trevino at Wentworth in the match play, and Jacklin said to Trevino, "Now Lee, today, please, please, I don't want you talking." He said, "I'll talk, you just listen."
Beautiful touch. Beautiful touch from Van Boening there. And Strickland acknowledging it when Shane comes back to the chair. That was a terrific effort. A deft touch required to play a shot like that, and a good eye.
Extension.
Asking for the extension. Wise. Massive shot coming up. Don't know about you, Jim, but even though it's very, very tight, I just get the impression the Americans might have just a little too much for their Russian opponents. They will stumble over the line.
Phil's not happy, but nothing wrong there. Tried to get that cue ball in behind the 9. He's covered the 1 slightly. Not an easy reply here from Chinakhov.
On the precipice there. Strickland sees the funny side, although I think the smile is a little ironic.
I think his only choice here to just try and bank the 1 back up the middle of the table. No. Well, the double kiss didn't hurt him for the moment, but he might have bought his partner a world of hurt. This type of pace, a lot of times these players that are very freewheeling can get bogged down. Look out!
Oh, shot.
Horrible luck. It was a great shot on the 1, and there's no way that he could have legislated for that kick on the 2.
Thank you. Quietly, please.
Yes, the cue ball had to career around the table there. No option. It's one thing having that kind of bad luck in the opening rack. In the 11th of a possible 13, it's a crippling blow.
Look out! That was close to the side pocket too. Earl's going to have to draw this back. 5 looks like it goes past the 7. I didn't quite get into that, but still makeable for Shane. Thin cut, top left.
Awkward stretching over the table. Fully extended. And sometimes when your balance is out like that, it can affect your alignment and maybe you apply unwanted side on the cue ball. Not the case there.
Yeah, I was watching Earl while Shane was reaching for that ball, and he was just kind of pumping himself and as if he needs any extra emotion. Similar sort of shot that we saw from France that went awry in their match against the Philippines. Shane was on the right line.
Looks as though the USA are going to lead for the first time in the match since 1-0.
Yeah, and as our colleague Ted Lerner says, Phil, it's not how you start a match out, it's how you finish it. And right now, USA will be breaking for the win. And Shane patting Earl on the back. He's got to keep him positive, keep him in the moment. A place in the quarterfinals is beckoning.
Yes, I always think with Strickland, he's a man who can control the cue ball with consummate ease. Sometimes what he can't control is himself. Today, though, by his standards, I think he's been quite subdued, don't you?
You can't watch, Phil. He has been. He's been in a different zone. He's here to play pool this week. That's a good break. And a chance at the 2. The best break for Van Boening thus far. 3, 4, 5, they're all there. On the practice table, this would be a formality.
Factor in, though, the extra layer of pressure. Major would be astounded if they didn't run out and win the match right here, right now.
Yeah, just a little awkward. If Shane would have stayed a little lower on that, this would have been easier. And now pull this off the side cushion. The only thing he has to guard against is that side pocket. So he's got to make sure he pulls the white off that side cushion and away from the side pocket, above it.
Extension.
Should be no trouble. He really shouldn't be anywhere near that side. Only a miss hit would take the cue ball there.
Looks as though Earl will have the distinction of potting the clinching 9-ball. And what it means, 2 quarter-final places will have been filled by 2 pool powerhouses. The Philippines, and now, surely, yes indeed, the United States of America. The Stars and Stripes flying high.
Big win for Team USA. We'll be having a short word with Shane and Earl right after the break. Yes, a big win for Team USA and confirmation of today's results. Oh, pardon me, we got the boys here. Guys, how are we doing? Shane, Earl, congratulations, guys. That was a huge win.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was a big win. Russia's a good team, you know. They got some big guns over there, but you know we were fortunate he scratched on that shot, and then Shane made a beautiful break. Perfect break.
Biggest break of the match, and at it's a very timely moment.
Yeah, we needed something easy at the end so that we didn't have to struggle.
Well, guys, it all means you're through to the quarterfinals now, and you know, you can't do any better. Back to the practice table and work out the kinks, work out the break, and all the very best.